I vividly remember my first day on an oil rig. The immense machinery, the relentless ocean, and the strong camaraderie among the crew. Over time, the rigs became my second home. And the excitement of finding oil became a part of me. Each drill and pipeline represented a step towards securing my family's future. Despite the long separations, as the years passed, the job's demands took a toll. Long hours, constant danger, and the pressure to perform weighed heavily. But I reminded myself with every paycheck of the life I was building for my family. Little did I know these sacrifices would lead to the toughest decision of my career. It had been over a year since I last slept in my own bed. And I was eagerly looking forward to it. But a massive storm was approaching, forcing me to halt operations on the rigs. It was a crucial call. But the storm's severity left me no choice. We had drilled 5 wells in the area, all positioned 20 nautical miles apart. And shutting down the rigs required precision and coordination. Fortunately, everything went smoothly. And the crew was safely evacuated. Once the rigs were secured, a helicopter brought the remaining team back to shore. I wasn't due for time off, so my return home would be a surprise. I was excited to see my wife, kids, and neighbors. Despite the demanding schedule, the job had paid off, tripling my base salary over the last 3 years. My expertise in angle drilling made me invaluable, especially with the oil boom in the US 5 years ago. After a promotion, I decided to plan for early retirement. I split my paycheck 3 ways, maxing out my 401k, investing 25% with a broker, and depositing the rest into our bank account. My wife and I agreed to focus on paying off our mortgage and saving. Over 20 years, we built substantial security through smart investments. My broker diversified my portfolio across company stock, tech giants like Google, Amazon, and Facebook, and dividend-paying blue-chip stocks, with regular reports sent directly to me. Because I was often away, my wife and I always filed taxes separately, with her claiming the kids' deductions. If the hurricane hit us directly, no one could return to the rigs until they passed a full inspection. I insisted on these details to ensure the safety of my team. A crew would inspect the seafloor before we could resume operations. And with the hurricane's slow progress, it seemed I'd have at least 2 months off. The longer the storm lingered, the higher the reconstruction costs would be. So I was closely monitoring the weather. I had helped create these new safety procedures after BP ignored our advice and paid billions in the aftermath of a disaster. A few $1 million in prevention now saved billions in lawsuits and regulatory issues later. BP learned the hard way how governments can exploit environmental disasters. The oil industry adapted, budgeting for long-term shutdowns and prioritizing safety at any cost. My wife, Shauna, and I met our neighbors, Jack and Jasmine Parsons, soon after buying our house. At that time, Shauna was pregnant with our first child, Hunter. We later had 2 more children, Alan and Sarah, who are now almost grown. Jack and Jasmine, who couldn't have children, became like an aunt and uncle to our kids. Jack, despite being a bit of a liar and lacking class, had a knack for sales. Jasmine, in my eyes, was one of the most beautiful women I had ever seen. And if anyone could tempt me, it would have been her. While waiting at Tampa Airport for a flight to St. Louis, I got a text from my daughter, Sarah, asking me to call her. I hadn't seen her in 14 months. And the distance from my family was making me consider a career change. I called her immediately. "Hi, Dad," she said. "Thanks for calling back so quickly," she added. "What's up, Buttercup?" I asked, using her childhood nickname. "Okay, here goes," she said. "Hunter's in the hospital with a bullet wound," she continued. "Uncle Jack is in jail for attempted homicide, and Aunt Jasmine is pregnant," she said. "Are you serious?" I responded, stunned. "You said you wanted the bare facts," she replied. "But there's more you need to know before you talk to Mom," she added. "Why is that?" I asked. It's complicated, and there's more to the story, Sarah said. You always taught us to understand all sides before making decisions, she continued. She added that Mom might tell me a version that omits certain details, she said. Especially since she's involved in the situation with Hunter, Jack, and Jasmine, she explained. Okay, Buttercup, I said. I'm about to catch a plane to St. Louis, I continued. I'll take the first flight back to Cape in the morning, I said. Skip school tomorrow, and I'll take a taxi home when I arrive, I added. Your mom will be at work by then, I said. You're coming home, that's great, Sarah replied. Mom's in New York, she said. Macy's called all their store managers for a meeting to discuss boosting sales and cutting inventory, she continued. This region is one of the few still making a good profit, she said. So they want to figure out what's working, she added. Has she been informed? I asked. No, I'm still at the hospital waiting to hear from the doctor, Sarah explained. I called you first because I thought you should know, she said. I don't want to involve Mom until we've talked, she continued. Let the billing department know I'll bring our medical cards in the morning, I said. Thanks for texting me, Buttercup, love you, see you in the morning, I said. After saying goodbye, I prepared to go through security and wait for my flight. It gave me time to reflect on my family and our relationships. I'd spent most of our married life working on rigs. Starting from the bottom and working my way up. While at sea, I got serious about my education, which led me to where I am today. I remembered the day I met Shauna. She was driving too fast in the Walmart parking lot. Hit some black ice and bumped into my old truck. There wasn't much damage. So we went inside, and she bought me a sub and coffee for being a good sport. When she took off her coat, I noticed how attractive she was. And we quickly hit it off. Shauna inspired me to get serious about life. Before meeting her, I was just living day by day. But she gave me purpose. Within a month, I went back to school to improve myself. And as our relationship grew, so did my determination. 8 months later, we were engaged. And 6 months after that, we were married. I started working offshore. And with Shauna's influence, my performance improved, leading to higher pay. Shauna also pursued her own career, earning a business degree and starting as a department manager at Macy's. She excelled in retail merchandising and quickly moved up the ranks. Her success led to a store manager position in Cape, where her leadership turned the store into one of the fastest growing in the division. Jack Parsons was an independent wholesaler who made his living by driving his route and selling tools to mechanics. While I didn't know exactly how much he earned, his spending habits suggested he did well. Oddly, our area wasn't part of his territory. Jack knew everyone and had a knack for finding things others couldn't, often bringing home expensive gifts for his wife. He was a mystery to me, simple and carefree, yet always paying in cash and avoiding credit or debit cards. The only bank account they had was in Jasmine's name. Jasmine, a respected community figure, worked for the Southeastern Missouri newspaper as a reporter and assistant editor, serving on several boards. On the surface, you might wonder how we became friends. Jack and Jasmine were African American, while Shauna and I are 6th-generation English Americans. But when our kids were young, Jasmine and Jack often took them out, spoiling them like their own. Jack would jokingly say they had adopted our kids, and many people believed him. Our kids even started calling him Uncle Jack, and we felt blessed to have them in our lives. As I flew home, I tried to make sense of what was happening. The news Sarah shared didn't add up, but she insisted it was all connected to our relationship with the Parsons. I had a 3-hour layover in St. Louis, a frustrating airport with no indoor smoking areas. To smoke, I had to go outside and then go through security again, while others vaped indoors. Standing outside, I gave in to my craving, enjoying a Marlboro. Working on offshore rigs had its perks, like cheap cigarettes without high taxes. I had brought 6 cartons home on this trip. I had banned booze on the rigs, which the men initially disliked. But their wives appreciated the savings, even if it made me unpopular with them. One of the frustrations of being American was the hidden taxes funding government waste. Politicians could overspend and introduce new taxes that would soon be forgotten by the public. Understanding tax laws was as difficult as understanding women, something I had always struggled with. Few people knew that in 1822, the federal government imposed a 1% import tax to support First Nations, which had never been rescinded. I often wondered if they ever received any of that money. As I smoked, a familiar voice called out, "Hey, Harold, it's been a while." It was Gus, someone from my past. "You never quit since high school," he said. "Got me, Gus," I replied with a smile. "For an old fart like me, you're looking good," I said. "Where you headed?" I asked. "Back to the Cape, that's where I live with the wife and kids," I said. "Got sent home because of the weather from the rigs," I continued. "You still doing that? When are you going to quit being a redneck and get a real job?" Gus joked. "I'm working on retirement," I said. "Maybe sooner than you think," I added. "I'm planning to find something that keeps me home at night," I said. "Shauna will be surprised," I continued. "Did you marry Shauna Richards?" Gus asked, surprised. "Yeah, I met her when I was working on the rigs in Texas during a break," I said. "She was in business college then," I added. "I'm surprised," Gus said. "My younger sister and Shauna were close in high school," he continued. "Back then, they were only interested in African American guys," he said. "My sister married one, but he left her after their second child," he added. "It was tough for a while, but now she's a lawyer and doing well," he said. We talked for a few minutes, catching up on who was still around from our high school days and what they were doing now. I learned he was married with 3 kids. Finally, I was on the last leg of my journey home, eager to talk to my daughter. Her recent news had been on my mind the entire trip. The taxi dropped me off, and I carried my own bags to the door. Sarah hugged me tightly, clearly exhausted and emotional. After some quick greetings, we got into the details. "Dad," Sarah began, "over the last 2 years, I noticed changes in Mom's routine," she said. "At first, I thought it was just due to her promotion at the Cape store," she continued. "But then I saw her one Friday night when I was out with my date," she said. "She was having a romantic dinner with Uncle Jack," she added. I was shocked but let her continue. "It was strange because Jasmine usually worked late on Fridays," she said. "And Mom was supposed to be working too," she continued. "So my boyfriend and I started checking it out," she said. "We found that Uncle Jack always left his truck at Macy's, and Mom would meet him," she explained. "They'd drive off together, sitting close like a couple," she said. I didn't like what I was hearing, but trusted Sarah's honesty. I listened closely. "I told Hunter," she explained. "He decided to investigate further with some friends," she said. "They discovered that Uncle Jack was renting an apartment," she continued, "where he met his lover, which turned out to be Mom," she said. "Hunter broke the news to Aunt Jasmine," she added. I took her hand and said, "I believe you, go on." Aunt Jasmine turned to Hunter for support, and they became lovers, Sarah revealed. "Hunter told me last night that it's been going on for over a year," she said. "And the child Jasmine is carrying is his," she continued. "Uncle Jack is sterile due to having chickenpox as a child," she added. I poured myself a stiff drink, realizing I needed it. "How long have your mother and Uncle Jack been involved?" I asked. "At least 18 months," she said quietly. "They were already involved the last time you were home," she added. "What led to Hunter getting shot?" I asked. "Mom wasn't there to meet Uncle Jack," she said. "So he went home and found Jasmine and Hunter in bed together," she continued. "In the heat of the argument, Uncle Jack accidentally shot Hunter," she explained. "What a mess," I sighed. "I need to hear Hunter's side of the story, but not right away," I said. "Later today, we'll take care of the hospital paperwork," I continued. "And find a good divorce attorney," I said. "When is your mother due home?" I asked. Saturday morning, Sarah replied. What are you going to do? She asked. I'm going to rent a car and stay at a hotel, I said. I can't stay here, I continued. When I return with the rental, we'll take care of a few things, I said. I want you to call your mother tonight with your phone on speaker, I continued. So I can record it for my lawyer, I said. Sarah started crying. Knowing her mother's actions had left me with no choice. Through her tears, she said, I've been dreading this day. I prayed it would go away, but it only got worse, she added. Dad, I want to live with you, she said. Buttercup, if that's what you want, I'll make it happen, I assured her. I'm home for at least 2 months, I said. So I have time to find a place and a new job, I continued. For now, let's keep it quiet that I'm home, I said. You mean it, don't you? She asked. Yes, but it might mean changing schools, I replied. I don't think I've ever been hugged so tightly in my life. Sarah didn't want to leave my side. So she came with me when the taxi arrived. Before we left, we called the school to let them know she wouldn't be attending. Jasmine saw me getting into the taxi and texted me. I need to explain things to you, she wrote. I replied, I know, we'll contact you after I've taken care of a few things. My daughter is upset and needs me now, I added. At first, I was surprised Jasmine was home. But given what happened yesterday, it made sense. I rented a small car that my wife would never expect me to drive. Since I've always been a Ford man. We left Cape and checked into a cheap motel in Marble Hill. Far enough away to avoid being found. After checking in, we went to Southeast Hospital to handle the insurance paperwork. Over lunch, Hunter called Sarah. And we learned that Jasmine was with him. And that he knew I was home. Sarah told him to keep that information to himself for now. As we planned to inform his mother that night. Our next stop was a real estate office to look at businesses for sale. But nothing caught my interest. I asked the broker to keep an eye out for new listings. And made plans to view some houses on Friday. Back at the motel, I called my superiors to inform them of my situation. Explaining that after 20 years, I might need to quit. Because my daughter, still a minor, wanted to live with me. I also set up an appointment with a lawyer for Monday. Checking my accounts, I saw we had $50,000 in the house account. And $150,000 in personal savings. With the house already paid off. Divorce seemed straightforward, splitting the house value and the funds. Buttercup, I'll be back soon, I told Sarah. I'm going to talk with Jasmine to hear her side, I said. Jasmine let me in right away. And I could see the stress she was under. I'm sorry, Harold, she said. You shouldn't have come home to this mess, she continued. Want a drink while we talk? She asked. Sure, it's been a long day, I replied. As she poured the drinks, I asked her to start from the beginning. I was at the office when Hunter asked to see me privately, Jasmine began. I thought he was planning an anniversary surprise, she said. But he told me Shauna and Jack were having an affair, she continued. I didn't believe him until he showed me, she said. He drove me to Jack's apartment, she explained. And what we saw through the window left no doubt, she said. Jack and your wife were together, she added. I was devastated, she said. She showed me some photos on her phone. Confirming the timeline that both Jasmine and Sarah had given me. Jasmine, could you text me those images? I asked. I'll need them for the divorce, I said. Jasmine's eyes widened when I mentioned that my wife had only dated African American boys in high school. Maybe those touches over the years weren't as innocent as we thought, she said. You never know, I replied. But how did you and Hunter end up together? I asked. He's like you, Harold, Jasmine said. He supported me, giving me strength, she continued. One night, after a bit of wine, I kissed him, and he kissed back, she said. That kiss was filled with more love than I'd felt in years, she added. Our closeness grew, and about 6 months ago, we crossed the line, she said. It wasn't revenge, it just happened, she explained. I understood. My job and long absences had created the same distance with my wife. Although we were married, we had become strangers. Each time I came home, we had to rebuild our connection. Only for me to leave again for months. It was one of the main reasons I was considering leaving my career. Jasmine waited for my response. Thank you for your honesty, I said. I'll let Hunter decide what's best for both of you, I continued. He's been independent for a long time, I said. And I'll support whatever you two decide, I added. Just so you know, your timeline and the images have been confirmed, I said. Thank you, Harold, Jasmine said, with tears in her eyes. Hunter said you'd approach it this way, she added. Jasmine then explained that Jack had been served divorce papers, which triggered his reaction. He was under a court order to stay away. Suddenly, the shooting made sense. Jack had always lost his temper when things didn't go his way. He must have gone home to confront Jasmine, and found her with Hunter, which pushed him over the edge. I knew Jack carried a weapon for protection due to his work. Jasmine, for the next few days, it's important that people believe I'm not in town, I said. That's why I rented a car, I continued. Sarah has already made it clear she wants to live with me, I said. I left with what I needed, the truth from Jasmine. And proof that Jack and my wife's affair started before Hunter got involved. Back home, I shared everything with Sarah. Dad, that makes sense, said Sarah. Hunter has always been mature for his age, she said. The photos and what he told me back it up, she continued. He's always dated older women, she added. I guess I'm partly to blame, I said. With me away so much, he stepped up as the man of the house, I continued. I wasn't much older than him when he was born, I realized. Before talking to Jasmine, I realized that regardless of my feelings, Hunter would make his own choices. It's their lives to live, I said. Dad, should I call Mom and let her know what's going on? Sarah asked. First, find an app that can record your calls, I suggested. Sarah searched and tested a few apps before finding one that worked. We both downloaded it. After 3 rings, Shauna answered. And Sarah put the call on speaker. Mom, I need a note for missing school today, Sarah said. Why did you miss school? Are you sick? Shauna asked. No, I was at the hospital with Hunter last night, Sarah explained. And was too exhausted to go to school, she added. What happened to Hunter? Will he regain full use of his shoulder? Shauna asked, concerned. He was shot in the shoulder at close range, Sarah stated. What? How did that happen? Don't leave anything out, Shauna demanded. It happened because you weren't where you usually are on Wednesday afternoons, Sarah said firmly. What are you implying? I was at work, Shauna responded, knowing it wasn't true. No, Mom, you were at 644 Morgan Avenue, apartment 4, with Uncle Jack, Sarah said. The silence from Shauna was deafening. After a pause, she asked, how long have you known? Almost from the start, Sarah said. I found out by accident when I saw you having dinner with Uncle Jack, she continued. Hunter followed up and found your love nest, she said. Even taking Jasmine there to catch you both in the act, she added. The pictures are pretty graphic, she said. I could hear Shauna sobbing. Then she said, I'll be flying home Saturday morning. We need to talk before your father gets home, she added. Mom, there's more, Sarah said. Uncle Jack was served divorce papers at your love nest last Wednesday, she continued. He went home in a rage, determined to keep his marriage while continuing the affair, she said. He didn't know that his actions pushed Jasmine and Hunter together, she added. Sarah said, in a rage, he grabbed a weapon and shot Hunter. But what do you want me to tell Dad when I call him? Shauna asked. Where are Hunter and Uncle Jack now? She continued. Uncle Jack's in jail for attempted homicide, Sarah replied. Hunter will recover but needs major rehab, she said. So, Mom, do I tell Dad, or should he find out from the news tomorrow? Sarah asked. Give me a few minutes to gather my thoughts, and I'll call him myself, Shauna said. It's best I handle this, she added. Okay, Mom, Sarah said. By the way, you're going to be a grandmother, she continued. Jasmine is 3 months pregnant, and Hunter is the father, she said. Also, Jasmine plans to serve you with papers when you get home, she added. Shauna lost it, but I felt it was justified after what she had done. Sarah waited for a response, and when none came, she ended the call. I poured 2 sour mashes, one for Sarah and one for me. I added ice and soda to mine, leaving hers straight. Setting it down, I said, "Let's have a drink together." "Because you handled yourself better than most adults," I continued. "I'm proud of you, Buttercup," I said. We waited for Shauna's call, finishing our drinks. When my phone rang, I let it go to voicemail. After pouring another round, I played the message on speaker. All Shauna said was, "Call me when you get a moment. Uncle Jack accidentally shot Hunter, and we need to talk," she added. "Dad, let's check the online newspaper before you respond," Sarah suggested. She brought her laptop, and we saw the story on the front page. The headline read, "Husband shoots wife's lover." And it detailed everything, exposing the relationships between all of us. The biggest shock was learning that Jack Parsons wasn't his real name. He was actually Raymond John Smith, with a record for petty theft and an outstanding warrant for pill possession with intent to distribute. His fingerprints had revealed his true identity. I called the police, told them about Jack's tool truck, and suggested they get a warrant to search it. When asked why, I replied, "Because no one has ever seen him sell anything out of it." I then looked up Gus Charles on Facebook, found his profile, and called his number. His wife answered, and I explained that I had run into Gus at the airport and needed the name of his sister Ashley's ex-husband who had disappeared. "His name is Raymond John Smith," she said. "He owes over 16 years of child support," she added. "Well, he's in jail in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, under the name Jack Parsons," I informed her. "Are you serious?" she asked. "Yes, and he was also having an affair with my wife, Shauna Richards," I added. "Oh my God, Ashley will be shocked," she said. "Can I give her your number?" she asked. "Please do," I replied. My soon-to-be ex-wife was coming home on Saturday. Sarah was in shock, and so was I. I texted Jasmine to see if she was home so I could talk to her. "Dad, Mom knew who he was when you first met them," Sarah said. "What other lies will we uncover?" she asked. "I don't know, but it seems like they were reliving their glory days," I said. "I wonder what else they were involved in," I added. We took a few minutes to process everything. The more we learned, the more questions arose. When there was a knock at the door, Sarah answered it. I made a sour mash and soda for Jasmine and handed it to her as she entered the kitchen. We showed her the updated article, which was a shock to her. Sarah had texted me the recording of her conversation with Shauna, and I played it for Jasmine. "There's a good chance your marriage to Jack might not even be legal," I said. "You should have your divorce lawyer check into it," I added. "I've been at the hospital most of the day," Jasmine replied. "I was just heading home when I got your text," she said. "There's no way he's getting bail," she added. "It gets worse," I said. "He has 2 grown children, a daughter and a son," I continued. "His ex-wife was Shauna's best friend in high school," I said. The shock on Jasmine's face was unforgettable. "They knew from the beginning," Jasmine said, starting to cry. "If he had kids, why didn't I get pregnant sooner?" she asked. "He probably had a vasectomy before meeting you," I said. "That's the only explanation," I added. I got quiet as Jasmine and Sarah talked. My gut told me there was more to this story. "Ladies, I think we should go through everything in our homes," I suggested. "Something's missing, and I wonder if Shauna was helping Jack with something illegal," I said. "Given his pill history, he could have hidden things, and maybe Shauna was involved," I continued. "That sounds far-fetched," Jasmine said. "But he did drive his truck daily and stayed out overnight," she added. "Then why did Shauna keep his secrets?" I asked. "You must have seen bills for his purchases," I said. "Jack always said the corporation handled everything," Jasmine replied. "Did you ever see any monthly statements or money transfers?" I asked. "No, but I know his Outlook account. We could check it," she said. We went to her house, and after logging into the computer, I searched for Outlook. We discovered Jack had 4 unknown email accounts linked to his main one. Clearly hiding something. Jasmine, contact the police first thing tomorrow, I said. And give them access to Jack's emails, I continued. I'm going home to search my house for money or pills, I said. I want to be sure nothing illegal was hidden there, I added. I'll do the same, Jasmine said. What should I do if I find anything, she asked. Call me, and we'll figure it out together, I said. We need to protect ourselves, I added. Dad, do you really think Mom would let Jack store in our home? Sarah asked. Given their relationship, I can't rule it out, I said. Start with places you wouldn't normally check, I suggested. Back home, I grabbed a flashlight and headed to the garage to access the attic. After moving the rental car, I climbed up and found 5 large garbage bags hidden up there. When the first bag hit the floor, Sarah rushed over. Pull it out of the way, I said. There are 4 more, I added. The second bag split open, spilling bundles of $20 bills. My immediate thought was whether Jasmine's house had pills. After bringing all 5 bags down, I found another flat bag, which turned out to be Jack's ledger. Sarah, go tell Jasmine what we found while I check these bags, I asked. They returned in 5 minutes. The 5 bags were filled with cash. And the 6th bag contained Jack's ledger. Harold, can you check my place? Jasmine asked. Right after I call the cops, I replied. I called the police, who sent a patrol car over. Then I went to Jasmine's house and found a chest of cocaine in her attic. I placed Jack's ledger with it and called the police again, requesting a detective. It took over 3 hours for the police to take the money and pills. We had to explain everything from the shooting to now. Before leaving, the detective said they would be taking Shauna into custody for questioning. When she returned on Saturday, the money can't be linked to anything right now, the detective said. It will be counted, recorded, and locked up as found money voluntarily turned in by Mr. Phillips, he added. Thank you, officer, I replied. What about the pills found at my neighbor's house? Jasmine asked. Since Jack Parsons lived there, and you turned it in with her help, the detective explained. You won't be charged, but he will, he said. Will you be back with a search warrant tomorrow? Jasmine asked. Give me your husband's email and password, the detective said. We'll check it directly, he continued. If you find any small amounts of pills, flush them, he advised. Most of what Jack had is likely in his truck, which we're towing for a search, he added. After the police left, I said, I could use a stiff drink. Jasmine secured her house and joined us. Sarah asked, Are you going to tell Mom what's happening? It's better to let the detective handle it, I said. I'll finish searching both houses tomorrow while you're at school, I continued. Thanks, Harold, I appreciate it, Jasmine said. Jasmine, I need you to follow me to the car rental place tomorrow, I said. I'm not leaving my daughter alone, I added. Can I stay here tonight? Jasmine asked. Of course, you can sleep in Hunter's old room, I said. Around midnight, police sirens woke us. They had caught someone trying to break into Jasmine's house. An unmarked car was watching our homes. At 5 a.m., I called my wife, sitting outside with coffee and a cigarette. She answered right away. Harold, it's a mess here, she said. Jack accidentally shot Hunter, but he'll recover, she continued. The police are holding Jack until they finish the investigation, she said. Have you talked to Jasmine? I asked. No, Sarah and I have been at the hospital, she said. I'll talk to her today and let you know, I said. Any word on when you'll be home? We want to see you, I asked. We're watching the weather and might have to evacuate, she replied. So I could be home sooner than expected, she said. Are you serious? She asked, surprised. Yes, we have a hurricane coming, I said. If we evacuate, I'm headed home, I continued. Promise to call me if that happens so I can get things ready, Shauna said. Okay, I said. Talk to you later, I added. From that short conversation, I realized she couldn't admit the truth. And never would. It was clear any feelings she had for me were gone, and I could move forward with the divorce without remorse. After dropping Sarah off at school, Jasmine followed me to return the rental car. We then picked up my luggage and returned the hotel key. I suggested she get Hunter's apartment key to stay there temporarily. I looked at 4 houses with the real estate broker, and decided on a newly built one in a new subdivision. I made a cash offer with a large deposit, and requested a 5-year warranty for a quick closing. I bought new locks and texted Jasmine and Sarah to update them. While searching the house, I found no pills, but did find bearer bonds worth $10,000 each. The news reported that the police had found items at our homes linked to the shooting, likely to reduce suspicion on us. After changing the locks and security codes, I found expensive jewelry I didn't know my wife had. Finally, I went back into the attic with a heavy-duty light, and discovered more bags of cash hidden in the darkest corner. I called the detective again, using the card he gave me, informing him of my latest discovery. Before they arrived, I kept a few bundles of cash from each bag, and left the rest in the attic. I was starting to believe Jack had been dealing pills for years. The detective took all 20 bags out, shaking his head in disbelief. That's when I realized I should have left the ledger with the cash, to link everything together. Officer, could Jack have been dealing pills for the entire 20 years we've been neighbors? I asked. Considering he lived under an assumed name even longer, it's very possible, he replied. There are cases of people living with criminals for years without knowing, he said. I'm eager to question your wife about her relationship with him, he continued. And how long it's been going on, he added. One more thing, I said. Jack, as we called him, was my wife's high school best friend's husband before he married Jasmine, I explained. His ex-wife, Ashley, might fly in Saturday to verify everything, I said. The detective smiled. This just keeps getting more interesting, he said. Does his current wife know, he asked. Yes, and I'm about to search her house thoroughly, I said. After last night's break-in attempt, we thought it was necessary, I added. I'll be ready for another call if needed, the detective grinned. I'm interviewing Jack again today, he said. We found cocaine in a false floor of his truck. He's done for good, he added. Jasmine joined us and said, Officer, expect a call from my lawyer about my husband's identity. He wants to annul our marriage immediately, she added. After the detective left, we searched Jasmine's house thoroughly, flushing anything that looked suspicious. Jasmine packed her belongings and moved into Hunter's apartment for safety. We found some bearer bonds, which she took with her. I told her I had made an offer on a newly built house, and planned to use the bonds for the payment if the offer was accepted. Jasmine asked, do you think Shauna was working with him, or did he con her too? It's hard to say, I replied. We've had each other's house keys for years, I said. Jack could have hidden things when we were away, I continued. What surprises me is that he didn't legitimize his savings, I said. My daughter and I want to see Hunter together, I said. He's recovering slowly, Jasmine replied. He and Jasmine plan to live together to see if the age difference works, Hunter said. That sounds mature and well thought out, I said. Thanks, Dad, Hunter replied. I appreciate all you've done for Jasmine, he said. Now that I see your side, I don't know how you're handling this, he added. Son, I may not like what your mother did, I said. But I wasn't there for her because of my job, I continued. Loneliness led her elsewhere, I said. If I ever have another relationship, my lifestyle will have to change, I added. Sarah looked at me and said, you don't hate her for what she's done. I want to liquidate her, I said. I put work first and left raising you both to her, I continued. When you grew up, she had no one giving her the attention she needed, I said. I'm sad, but I can't hate her or condemn her, I added. Besides, she may face bigger problems, I said. Like what? Hunter asked. If the police connect her to what Jack was doing, I said. She could end up in prison too, I continued. It's surprising how people often miss what's right in front of them, I said. The truth left both my children speechless. On Saturday morning, I got word that my house offer was accepted. I went to the broker's office, using some of the bearer bonds for the deposit. When I got a text, "Can we meet? I'm Gus's sister, Ashley." I texted back, "Where are you?" "At the airport," she replied. I responded, "Be there in 15 minutes. You got an excellent price on your new home," the broker said. "I'm surprised they accepted it so quickly," he added. "That's why I asked if any others had sold yet," I said. "Nothing spurs interest like a sold sign," I replied. After finishing up, I headed to the airport. As soon as I walked in, I spotted Ashley. She was the only one there, since the last flight had just left for St. Louis. She was attractive, with brown hair that softened her features. And her simple blue jean outfit showed she had class without trying too hard. My first impression was that she was comfortable in her own skin. She approached me and said, "You look just like the photo Gus sent me." "Nice to meet you, Mr. Phillips," she added. "Call me Harold," I replied, shaking her hand. We went to the airport restaurant and sat down for an early lunch. Getting to know each other. She noticed I wasn't wearing a ring. And I explained that after learning of my wife's affair, I had no reason to wear it again. I learned that after her divorce, Ashley had reverted to her maiden name. As we ate, I saw the last morning flight from St. Louis arrive. From our window seat, we could see passengers walking through the gate. When Shauna appeared, I waved. Ashley turned to see who I was waving at. And Shauna froze, her face turning pale when she saw us together. She hadn't read the local news. And had no idea what was happening. We watched as a detective approached her, showed his badge. And escorted her to get her luggage. "She didn't know you were in town, did she?" Ashley asked. "No, we kept it from her," I said. "Whatever she was planning is over," I continued. "She's about to find out about the cash, pills, and ledger found in our homes," I said. "Can I handle your divorce case?" Ashley asked. "It would be satisfying to take her down," she said. "The fact that she and my ex were involved raises a lot of questions," she added. "Can you manage it while traveling back and forth?" I asked. "I run my own divorce firm from home," she said. "Plus, I'll be here dealing with my deadbeat ex anyway," she added. I smiled. "Looks like we have a deal. If you have a printer, we can get started today," I said. We loaded Shauna's luggage into my truck. And I told Ashley her ex-husband was in the county jail. She wanted to talk to him. So I drove her there and waited. About an hour later, she returned. "He was shocked to see me," Ashley said. "He asked how I found him, and I told him it was thanks to you," she continued. I also mentioned that the police had seized the pills, money, and ledger they found, she said. His face went white, she added. I called the detective and updated him. He said he would get a handwriting comparison to link Shauna to the pills but not the cash. As the ledger was a contact list of their suppliers and clients. So my soon-to-be ex might have been in on it all along, I said. That'll make the divorce easier. She'll need her share for legal fees, I said. Yes, the detective replied. We'll charge her as an accessory today, he said. So she won't get a bail hearing until at least Monday, he added. We returned to my place to start drafting the divorce petition. On the way, I explained how we had handled our finances throughout the marriage. Smart move, Ashley said. With separate savings accounts, we can argue that it wasn't marital property, she added. Back home, she started on the divorce petition while I brewed coffee. And sent her the images Jasmine had provided. I told her I didn't want the house due to everything that had happened. Ashley asked if Shauna could afford to buy me out. Based on how we split the household funds, she should be able to, I said. After 2 hours, we were ready to print. I gave her the access code, and we printed and sorted the copies. To file with the county court on Monday. My daughter returned from being out with friends. There was an immediate connection between her and Ashley. After introductions, I explained to my daughter who Ashley was. Sarah, I'd like you to meet Ashley Lynn Charles, I said. Her family still lives in Dutchtown, I added. Ashley, this is my daughter, Sarah, who will be moving in with me next week, I continued. Once we've bought the furniture, I said. Sarah's eyes lit up with excitement as she hugged me tightly. And asked, what did you buy? A newly built house with 3 bedrooms, an open floor plan, I replied. A 2-car garage, an unfinished basement, and a raised patio deck, I added. Is there a problem with it? Sarah asked. It's not landscaped, I said. I'm planning to look into adding a pool after closing on Monday, I continued. Sarah's eyes sparkled. She'd wanted a pool for years. I hadn't done it before because I didn't want to ruin our existing landscaping. Since it was almost dinner time, I asked where they wanted to eat. They both chose Ruby Tuesday for the salad bar. After dinner, we went to Enterprise so Ashley could rent a car. Sarah invited Ashley to join us on Sunday to shop for furniture, and she agreed. On Monday, I was in the courtroom. His charges were read against Jack Parsons and my wife. Jack was denied bail. Shauna's bail was set at $500,000. Ashley served her divorce papers on my behalf. And then served her ex-husband for back support. As we left, holding hands, I knew Jack and Shauna noticed. Earlier that day, I finalized the purchase of my new house by dropping off the remaining bearer bonds. Ashley had filed the divorce papers and paid the court fees by 4 p.m. Later, Ashley found a letter on her rental car at her parents' place. A ransom note. They were holding Sarah and demanded everything I hadn't turned over to the police. I told Ashley to reply that I would meet them at Trail of Tears State Park at midnight. Providing a specific location. At home, I prepared. I packed small propane containers, a welding torch, an old tent, and my crossbow into my truck. I set up the tent at the park. And under cover of darkness, rigged a trap at the cliffside viewing area. By loosening the bolts on the railing, I tied a bag filled with paper to the railing, making it appear valuable. When Earl, a friend of Jack's, arrived, I confronted him with a crossbow and demanded he ensure Sarah's safe return before I would hand over the bag. If I don't agree, Earl asked. I'll shoot you and hunt down your brothers, I replied. Earl, visibly nervous, made the call. Watching him sweat was satisfying. Especially as he realized the crossbow held 3 arrows. Jack thought you'd gone soft, Earl said. He's planning to escape and needed the bearer bonds to get him and your wife out of town, he added. I guess you're in the ledger book too, I said. How do you know about the ledger? Earl asked. I gave it to the cops. It's only a matter of time before they get you all, I said. If Sarah is uninjured, you might want to use what's in the bag to disappear, I added. Panicked, Earl made another call, instructing his brothers to drop off Sarah and flee. He knew the situation was dire. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. It was Ashley, confirming that Sarah had arrived safely and was uninjured. I shut off the lights and slipped back into the darkness. Earl leaned over the railing to grab the bag. But with nothing securing it, his weight pushed him over the edge. After that, I returned to my tent and slept through the night. It took 2 weeks for them to find Earl's body. And Jack Parsons didn't take the news well. Early Tuesday morning, I drove to Ashley's parents' place. My daughter ran out to greet me, and I was invited in for breakfast. I learned that the county sheriff was retiring. And Ashley's father, George, was influential in the local Democratic Party. Over breakfast, I mentioned running for sheriff. And George asked if I'd be willing to start the state qualification courses. I agreed. Then I think you've officially started your campaign, he said. The pride in my daughter's eyes was clear. As she said, one thing I know about my dad, when he sets his mind to something, he gets it done. I handed my daughter my phone and had her listen to the conversation I recorded with her mother. It was interesting watching their reactions. Mom was never going to be honest with you, was she? Sarah asked. No, I replied. I'm starting to wonder if she got Jack back into the pill business using my money, I said. They were all surprised by my revelation, and so was I. We were all on the same page. I think we should keep what happened since Ashley found the note to ourselves, I said. Things didn't go the way Jack and Shauna planned, I continued. With that, I called the detective to inform him that Jack might try to escape in the next couple of days. The detective remarked that I would have made a good cop, with my knack for uncovering information. On our way back to Cape, my phone rang. It was Shauna. "I'll be out on bail in 2 hours," she said. "Can I get access to the house?" she asked. Ashley and Sarah looked at me, curious about my response. "The house? You can have it this afternoon," I said. "My lawyer will bring your car to the nest and give you the keys," I continued. "Sarah and I will have taken what we want from the house," I said. "The rest we'll get while you're at work this week," I added. I hung up. "Ashley, most of the new furniture is being delivered today," I said. "And they'll set it up. Can you supervise where everything should go?" I asked. "I'd love to," she replied. "The appliance dealer should be there by 10 a.m., with the furniture companies arriving later," I said. We dropped Ashley off first so she could see the new house. Both she and Sarah loved the open floor plan and the size of the place. Sarah chose her bedroom, thrilled it had its own bathroom and walk-in closet. "Dad, should we take pots, pans, and basic stuff from the old house?" Sarah asked. I thought for a moment and said, "No, let's start fresh. Once we pack our personal items and bring them here," I continued. "You and Ashley can go shopping for what we need," I said. "Most windows have built-in blinds," Ashley noted. "That'll give you privacy until you get curtains," she added. As Sarah and I were leaving, Ashley and I said our goodbyes. When my son called out, "Dad!" Jasmine and he had just come out of the house across the street. I introduced everyone, and it was interesting to see Jasmine and Ashley sizing each other up. Despite their different skin tones, they had similar builds, which explained my interest in Ashley. Before heading back to pack our clothes, I opened a new checking account at the bank. I transferred funds from savings, got new debit cards for Sarah and me, paid off my credit card, and had my paycheck rerouted. The wardrobe boxes I had picked up made packing easy, and it took only a couple of hours to load everything. I tucked the bearer bonds I kept at the bottom of one box. I also went into the attic to gather the $50,000 I had saved. I reminded Sarah to change all her passwords since she was taking her laptop. After unloading the wardrobe boxes, the ladies headed out while I moved the boxes. Our old furniture was piled in the front yard for burning. I called AT&T to set up the internet. The ladies returned with a truckload of items. Just as the delivery drivers were leaving, the master bedroom and Sarah's room were set up, the living and family rooms organized, and the kitchen table and chairs were in place. We had the basics to start our new home, and just needed to get the TV working. For now, we could use the laptop with free Wi-Fi. After unloading the truck, Ashley and I drove Shauna's car over to her. I waited while Ashley went inside. About an hour later, she returned. "Did you get some answers?" I asked. "Not really," Ashley replied. "Their relationship started after my marriage ended," she said. "Shauna planned to divorce you after Sarah finished school," she continued. "They've been together for about 6 years," she said. "Raymond has been dealing pills the whole time you've known him," she added. "Shauna claims she didn't know what was in your house, but I don't believe her," she said. I recorded the conversation, thanks to Sarah syncing her phone with mine, she added. "Should we send it to the detective?" I asked. "Yes," Ashley said with a laugh. "And am I right in thinking you're interested in where our relationship might go?" she asked. "I thought we were already working on that," I said. "Even your parents noticed the attraction," I added. Ashley moved closer and said, "Sarah suggested KFC or fish and chips for dinner." We picked up KFC and headed back to the new place. Sarah had been busy. She'd washed sheets, put away groceries, and was running the dishwasher. I was pleasantly surprised. They'd also picked up sour mash and soda. So we each had a drink with dinner. After dinner, I unpacked in the master bedroom. The ladies came in to make the bed and set up the room, including towels, mats, and a small trash can. They even got an alarm clock and matching lights for the nightstands. Sarah had picked out my shower soap and shampoo. I took the empty boxes to the burn pile. Added a few more from the kitchen and checked out the setup. New coffee pot, toaster, and microwave in place. I was pleased with how it was all coming together. The ladies worked on Sarah's room. And once they finished, I lit the burn pile. Watching the flames rise into the night sky, lost in thought. I almost missed a call from my soon-to-be ex. "It's all gone," she said. "Where is it?" she asked. "Call the detective and ask," I replied, laughing. "You knew," she said. "How did you get Sarah back?" she asked. "Ask Earl or his brothers, if you can find them," I said, ending the call. Then my son, Hunter, called. "Dad, we bought the house across the street," he said. "Mom called, but I told her off," he continued. "She wasn't happy, so expect her to blame you," he said. We talked a bit more. He had questions about Jasmine and Ashley's relationship. I advised that they should focus on the fact they were both used by the same man. And let them work it out. After a smoke, I checked the fire, which had burned down. And headed back inside. The washer was running, and Sarah approached me to say good night. "I'll lock up when I drive Ashley home," I said. Noticing the puzzled look on my daughter's face. Ashley came down, wearing a new nightgown and robe. "That one," I said, realizing why Sarah had that look. I decided to go shave and shower while her clothes were in the washer. A knock on the door woke me up later. Sarah needed a ride to school. I dressed quickly and met her at the door, where she smiled widely. "Dad, you look happier than I've seen you in years," she said. "I'm happy for you," she added. After dropping her off, I promised to pick her up later. It was nice to relax at home for the first time since leaving the rigs. With no pressing tasks except cuddling with Ashley, which I did plenty of. AT&T installed the internet around lunchtime. And Ashley's parents arrived with a rental car and clothes. Shortly after, a photographer also came to take a professional picture for my campaign. George Charles, Ashley's father, expected to have the signatures to register my run for sheriff by the end of the week. I gave him $5,000 in cash for the campaign. Ashley took her mother on a tour of the new house, where I learned she had already been putting her personal touch on it. When we picked out furniture, George, I asked, did I ever stand a chance? Honestly, when she came home Saturday night, he said. I was shocked when she said, I met the man I'm going to spend the rest of my life with, he continued. After what happened on Monday, he said. She told me, Dad, Harold is taking control away from whoever was holding Sarah, he added. When Sarah showed up uninjured at 1 a.m., he said. She said she didn't know what happened, but the people holding her got scared, she continued. And dropped her off quickly after a second phone call, she said. She could tell they were related, she added. It was Earl Ryan and his brothers, I said. They've always been trouble, I continued. When I confronted him with a loaded crossbow, I said. I gave him one chance to release Sarah or die, I continued. He hesitated, so I told him to call his brothers and tell them I was coming, I said. I can honestly say he was still alive when I left, I added. What about now? George asked. Time will tell, I replied. George smiled and said, You old school, Harold, welcome to the family. I'd be proud to have a grandson from you, he added. His words confirmed that we shared the same values. Tough and principled, like the Missouri red mud. 6 months later, we were all gathered, waiting for the election results. My parents, Ashley's parents, Jasmine, and Hunter, who had just married, were taking turns holding my newborn grandson. Shauna and Jack had been sent to life without parole. And my divorce was finalized. My former employer had given me early retirement. And I had just deposited over $6 million returned to me by the police. Sarah finally got her swimming pool. And Ashley's business was thriving, with 4 staff working from our home basement. I knelt in front of Ashley before joining our supporters. And asked, Will you marry me? She said, yes, and I slid the ring on her finger. Just as the news declared me the winner of the election, George was beaming with pride. Not only because of our engagement, but also because there was a new sheriff in town.